For the fans, by the fans. Welcome to the only Angels post-game show that keeps it real, win or lose. No filters, no fluff, just raw reactions right after the final out. The Golden Stamos is polished up and somebody's about to take it home. A clutch hit, a game-saving grab, or just straight-up hustle. We see you. But if you played like trash, you're getting the dreaded Nacho Night Award. We saw the missed calls, we saw the blown saves, the clutch moments, and the disasters too. Your comments are front and center, and yeah, we read all of them. Wanna let loose? Call in and sound off live. No scripts, no suits, no spin. This is raw, this is real, this is where the fans take over. This is the Heady Postgame Show with Todd Fox. For the fans, by the fans.
I'm a fox. My name's Todd.
Hey, welcome into it's a all-star edition, I guess. I haven't really watched anything because first off, I love baseball. I used to always watch the all-star games. And I used to just sit there and be like, oh, yeah, like, it doesn't matter who's playing. If we have one representative, if we have five representative, it doesn't matter. And then we got into the whole, hey, this time it counts thing. And I used to just watch for the exhibition to see all the jerseys that I couldn't see play at, my team and, National League versus American League. And then when they started to get away from those jerseys and to get into universal jerseys, it kind of took the luster out of it for me. And then when it came down to this time it counts and it was playing for home field advantage, I hated that at first, but then I got used to it. And then I was like, all right, this is cool, man. I'm all for it. And I started to see them play a little bit more competitive and players wouldn't play. It wasn't all about exhibition anymore. And then they took that away. And then I'm like, well, it's back to not counting anymore. And I really don't care. So I wanted to make some content tonight just to get it off my chest to talk about the first half of the Angels. So this isn't an all-star post game. I am keeping an eye on it. It's in the 10th inning right now, so it's like whatever. Again, if you guys like it, kudos. I'm not trash talking whatsoever. I just saying personally, I could care less at this point. And to me, it's just not the same. But with that being said, though, I came on here to talk some Angels baseball. Yes, I did. And that's what I want to do. I want to talk about and see in the comments if you feel that the Angels are where they're supposed to be, if they've done what you thought they would. And at the same time, while you guys are commenting, and I'll be reading those comments moving forward throughout the episode or whatever, I'm going to talk about also, certain player performances. I'm going to go through the roster and, we'll talk because, again, we've been asked on this show over and over and over, are we going to be buyers? Are we going to be sellers? Are we going to be sellers? Are we going to be buyers? Are we going to trade the farm system? Are we going to stand pat? And again, like I say every night or every time we get on the post-game show, I always say, hey, you know what? We really don't know because obviously they've been playing mediocre baseball. And there's so many teams that are bunched up. We're talking 7 teams are vying for one playoff spot. Yes, you heard that right. 7 teams are playing for one playoff spot as we're speaking right now. So it's tough for me to say, hey, this team's going to buy, this team's going to sell, vice versa. I really don't see it right now. What I see from this team right now is you have to play just one game at a time. It's literally like one of my favorite coaches of all time from the NFL, and that would be Pete Carroll saying, we got to go 1-0 today. So when the season repicks up on Friday, Angels got to go 1-0. And then if they get that victory, move on to the next day and try to go 1-0 again. There's really no other way to cut it, dude. They're at a point right now where it's been cute for me for them even because, again, after losing 99 games, I think it's cute that they got to 500. And I mean that with all disrespect because this team, okay, they flirted with 500. Great. Now, what are you going to do after that? Are you going to tank or are you going to hover around 500? And when other teams have been hovering around 500, they usually either go up or down. And if you can't make that next move to get a few games over 500 and start to really contend, well, then it's all for nothing. Again, we went into this season thinking, or at least I did. Maybe in the comments, like I said, I want you to give me what you expected from a team that lost 99 games into this year with the lack thereof or just the additions that they got. I want you to tell me, is this team fulfilling what you thought they would be? Or do you believe, like me, that yes, I predicted 81 and 81 would be great, but could they be better if they just applied themselves better, if they played small ball, because for me, I feel this team has more talent than they're showing, because certain nights they'll come out there and you're like, damn, they competed really solid and they gave it all their go, and they beat good teams. And then other nights they just rank out against some pretty shitty opponents, or they don't show up against certain pitchers and you're like, dude, that guy had a 5 ERA. Why did we only muster 1 run off of him? So I'm kind of like, I don't know, like part of me says this team should finish the season with 84 wins, 85 wins, maybe, and just miss it or be in it by 1. I don't know. The ceiling for me is 85, 86. I'd have to say that'd be the exact, the extreme. But the more and more they stay around 500 now that we're 96 games in, I just don't see it now. I was really hoping that by the break we would be over or at 500 and not be looking at this like maybe if we were 49 and 47, so to speak. Going into the break, I would be extremely confident. But the way they've played the last 2 weeks, and they kind of flirted with being really good and then flirted right back to being really bad, it gives me no indication that they're going to come out solid against, some very good heavy hitters, out the gate. I mean, this season, literally now, again, going back to going 1-0, like Pete Carroll says, you have to do that till you get to the trade deadline, to where we know exactly where we're at, because right now they sit 4 games out of that wild card, and you open up the second half against some really tough opponents. You start off against the Phillies, who are 14 games over 500, and then you play the first place Mets right after that. And then right after that, you come home against Seattle, the team that you're currently chasing for that last wild card. So it's one of those things where what's this team going to do? Are they going to respond? Or are we going to get some more mediocre baseball to where they kind of fluff you one night and you're like, hell yeah, they're playing really good. They beat the Phillies 7-1. And then they come out the next night and they lose 5-0. Or, they play a hard fought game and win 3-2 just to lose the next night 5-0. I'm really, really interested to see how this goes, because there's a lot of storylines now. You're going to get the return of Christian Moore. Can Moore pick it back up again? You just got Minkata back. You're going to have Chris Taylor back at some point here. Most likely, if not on the road trip, you're going to get the, you're going to get the 2 guys back here pretty soon, right after the break. So, it looks fairly good right now. And, the main thing for me is can the Angels make a good, oh my God, the All-Star game is so stupid. Yeah, it's so dumb. It should go back to actually counting, because that is some dumb shit right there. They played a swing off. That is so stupid. Boy, Rob Manfred, they need to hurry up and strike already, because Rob Manfred's a fucking idiot. They come out again. Really, the next 9 games are pretty much going to dictate what the Angels do. And we're going to have to see if they're for real or they're not. And, this team has got a lot to prove in the second half. And, we'll have to see if the Angels can get their shit together right now, because there's too much at stake right now. You either going to tank it or not. And then considering what they did with the draft, I'm going to talk about the draft real quick, give you my draft takes on this, as far as, because you see, Orcio says right here, they have to sell even if they manage to get a game or two over 500. You would think so, but guys that can get them some players back, are not really pushing it. Like Anderson should have been like all-star worthy. He's not, they're not going to get much for him. Taylor Ward, I mean, that's probably your biggest your biggest trade piece, and I don't think they'll do it. And that's a shame because I do think they can get something out of it. Now, we're talking about real quick. I'm going to jump into the draft picks and what they did as far as the team's concerned here. And this is what's frustrating for the Angels and for myself. I look at it right here. The first round, they went out and got Tyler Brenner. Tyler Brenner is a pitcher that a lot of people had on their board later, obviously at 18. However, he is a guy who they said that has probably some really good major league ready stuff. He's a guy that Seattle was actually interested in. Now, the funny thing is, Cade Anderson was a guy that all Angel fans, including myself, were saying, we want a guy who is playing against SEC guys, right? We want a power pitcher. He's already had a TJ. We don't have to worry about that. All this stuff, right? And he's got the best and biggest stuff. He winds up going to our division rival who can kill us the next 10 years. Tyler Bremer better bring it. He better be the guy, because if he's not, that's going to set this rotation, this team back years, because this was an important draft. And, losing out on him and then getting Tyler Brenner, there was some upside that I heard that, initial reaction, very pissed off. But, some fans were like, hey, look at Jared Weaver. He faced, he didn't face the best opponents in college, and look how he turned out. And there's a chance that Tyler could be a Jared Weaver type dude. Didn't pitch in a big time conference, but was a big time major league pitcher. And there could be, he could go flat. And the same thing can happen with Keita, because look what happened with Kumar. So we don't know. And it's a crapshoot sometimes, but if the Angels had hit on draft picks before, I'd be much more confident, but I'm not. You drafted 13 pitchers out of 20 draft picks. You did 20 out of 20 not too long ago. You got a couple nice picks. Like I like the Jake Monroe pick. Chase Shores, LSU guy. Not the LSU guy we wanted, but we went with Chase Shores, and Chase Shores, lively fastball, lively slider, and has all these good repertoires and great arm angles and all that stuff, right? The problem I saw with him, he has hard time pinpointing those pitches. And again, what we were saying on this network and saying on all of our things was, why are we going to get a pitcher right now? Why are we going to get a pitcher that's going to be a project? We need to get more pitchers that are 100% ready. We need to get guys that are ready to fuel their way through the minor league system, because we have a weak minor league system in general. So why will we go out and get a guy who is going to be a project? And that's the thing that's frustrating. Over here on TikTok, Mitch says, didn't know there was an Angels account that goes live, instant follow. Do we go live all the time? We do post games, everything. We're not a shitty podcast that just does, shitty podcasts. We're a good podcast here on Halos in the Infield. Orelcio says Brenner might be a bullpen post deadline, laugh out loud, but that's not what we needed. And I think there's right now, a lot of people in Angel Nation saying, why did we go with Brenner? And I think he's a good, he's a good player. He's a good guy. And we know he had some tragedy going on with losing his mom to breast cancer, very tragic. And we hope the best for him and prayers to his family. And he's had a rough year. But, when the Angels fans have been this, starved for impact players, especially pitching, damn, dude, like we needed a hit. So again, if Tyler can come through, man, a lot of pressure, unfortunately, is going to be on your shoulders, buddy. Like you got to come through, bro. You got to be that guy, because, we've drafted lately. Silset's not up here. He's still down in the minors. You've had so many pitchers leave this organization. Bachman was supposed to be a starter. The best he is a bullpen piece. It's Reed Detmers was a number 2, a first round pick by us. and he's a free right now, just a setup guy. So those have fallen flat. Then we went to another high schooler out of Texas, which again I was trying to stay away from these high schoolers, man. But we got another high school pitcher in Johnny Slawonsky, whatever you say his name. But again, I like Jake Monroe from Louisville. He's another Christian Moore type player. Jake Monroe from the University of Louisville, a third baseman. And then we went out and got CJ Gray from right-handed pitcher. We got Luke Lacrosse, another pitcher. We drafted another outfielder from Arizona State, Isaiah Jackson. That's a speed dude. And then we got Slate Alford, a good, decent player from Georgia. We got Nick Rodriguez from Missouri State. That's a good pickup right there. But again, these pitchers we got Talon Halley from Lewisburg High School. Too many high school guys for me. I would have really, really went, because again, if we're Pittsburgh, if we're another one of these teams, or even the Yankees, we can go for these really, really good high school players that have a lot of upside and let them marinate in our farm system, because we got a good farm system. Unfortunately, that's not the Angels. So I'm not one of these guys that's going to come out here and say, hey, guess what? I'm going to grade the draft. I'm going to say, hey, man, this draft, or we're at F, we go to C or whatever, right? To me, it's like you can't grade this draft, not even next season. You got to wait like 2 or 3 seasons, and then we could see, okay, did these players come through? Because the Angels brought up Neto, and they brought up Shonawell. Were they going to hit right away, or were they going to suck? And the Angels got lucky, and those guys came through, and they've turned into stars. But if you look at it, man, they got to turn some of these pitchers in the same way that they've changed. Because again, I look at it this way: we got a core 6 right now, and a couple of them are struggling. But out of 4 of them, when Christian Moore comes back, I know he's a baller. He's only going to get bigger and better as we move along. Then you got Ohapi, who has been struggling, but if he fixes his bat, he's been hitting the ball a little bit more with contact of late. You get Kyron Paris up here. He's speedy. He plays multiple positions. Good guy in the clubhouse. If he gets his bat squared up instead of hitting home runs, another good core young player. Then obviously you got Joe Adele coming into he's finally got it. He's putting together a hell of a season. You got Zach Neto taking charge and pretty much being El Capitan at leadoff. And then you got freaking Shonawell, who's turning into your Tony Gwynn type player where, hey, you put the ball outside, I'm gonna make you pay. I'm gonna put it to left field. And if you pitch one up and in, I'm gonna put it over the fence and right. And then if you need a sacrifice fly, I got you. If you need a ground ball to move that runner at second over to third, bam, I'm gonna do it. That's the kind of, that core 6 right there in the offense is exciting as hell to watch. And I'm not even talking about Trout, not even talking about Ward, not even talking about Darno and the other players that they got, Renifos. Those are like the supporting cast. It's hard to say that Trout's a supporting cast member, but at this point in his career, with the young guys coming up, yes, he is very much supporting cast. Until he can prove that he can carry this team, supporting cast member. And I'm not saying Orosio that Tony Gwynn is that he's 100% Tony Gwynn. He just reminds me of the fact that he could put the ball where he wants to. I'm not saying he's got Tony Gwynn. I apologize to Tony Gwynn. I'm not saying he's anywhere close to being a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying that I like the way that when the situation calls for it, just like Tony Gwynn used to do, Tony Gwynn would go with whatever the gameplay called for. So my bad if I didn't mean it in the that he's equal to Tony Gwynn. He's one of the greatest hitters of all time. So yeah, my bad on that comparison. Maybe bad comparison. Maybe I just say that his approach is sort of like Gwynn. I should have said that. My bad. See, good catch right there. We read all the comments, and I'll be in the comments on the YouTube side here in a second. I know we're getting loaded up on that side as well. We're getting Brennan with a nasty changeup right there. Also, Thunder says, can you explain why one pick could have set the team back for years? I heard Lone Star say that as well. Because you got it. You like, say for instance, Paul Skeens, or like the pitcher that went to the Milwaukee Brewers, who they've turned into a star. I can't even pronounce his name. Those guys can be in your rotation for years and years to come. The fact that we didn't nail not one pitcher from that draft a couple years back and didn't develop any, and we lost so many from that draft. Guys didn't even sign with us. 20 pitchers up, and only 3 are still in the organization from just 3 years ago. that set this rotation back because, again, we have none of those guys in our rotation right now. None of those guys made it. None of those guys progressed. And we don't have, and like they all had arm troubles. Or we didn't do our homework, dude. It was like the worst draft of all time. So it can set you back if you don't draft right. If you do draft right and you can play to the strengths of your freaking franchise, this team could be so much better. And it could be loaded because instead of just seeing a couple guys trickle through to the major leagues, you could see a bunch at one time. And you could flip the roster and then be happy as hell, like back in the day when we saw your Darren Erstads, your John Lackeys, and all these guys, Irvin Santana's, all of them were homegrown guys. All of them came through the organization. Jared Washburn, Scott Schoenweiss. The names were going on and on for pitchers because we had them. We were developing them. We developed all the minor league guys. All those dudes were coming through this organization. But when you don't draft good, you're having to either do international signings, which you get lucky with Fermin, but those guys are few and far between. And then there's still projects in themselves. So you got to bank on your scouting department to do exactly what you got to do. Sports Prozac says, we did it to save money, man. There's no way you pick that guy over the LSU dude. That's what I see there too. Draft was a little painful. We cannot develop. Why not get developed second players? Sports Prozac also says Artie made some really bad moves. We are paying for it. Absolutely. The issue with the city of Anaheim, that's going to come to a head in the offseason. That is going to be a huge story if he can get his greedy little hands on the freaking stadium and the city allows him to, because they've got to audit the current situation. Also, we have turned it into recently, though. What do you think? Jonas says, I think it is much better. And yes, he was highly more rated before his mom died. He did have some struggles. So we'll have to see what happens. Also, Sports Prozac says, I worked at the minor league facility. They said the owner is cheap. Yeah, the Angels organization does not do good with their minor league system. That is for sure. So, let's get to some of the comments. We're not doing Spritz o'clock, but thank you anyway, Grill Master. What's up, Cisco? Also, Halos in the Infield X account comes on and says they won in a home run derby. Yeah, it was pretty pathetic. That's why Manfred's got to go, dude. Also, Jonas says, feels like they've been through a lot mentally and still perform well. Can't be nervous yet. I'm an Angels fan. Payne Third says, trying to understand the Angels draft, man. Anderson could have been. And that's the thing we have to look for, guys and gals. What's going to happen when it comes down? Because I have a feeling that, again, Bremer is good, but I believe you're going to see Cade Anderson debut for Seattle before he will. And already adding to a really good rotation up in Seattle that kind of sucks. And we'll see if the Angels made the right move or if they didn't. Again, that's why you can't grade these drafts right up and say, hey, they've got this whole thing under lock. They had a great draft. In theory, you can, but you gotta really grade it once they've played, once they've come through the system. Thunder says, yes, he's predicted top 5 before this season, then had a bad first half and then turned it around. Sports Prozac says, we got to get some signs stand in the front of the stadium. We tried that. And there's a big story to that, and I'll get into that some other day. EQ says Angels have improved in the record, but doesn't make up for the last 11 years. Skull Kid says that was one of the worst All-Stars that I've ever seen. Then you must not have seen the one in Milwaukee from years ago that actually got the whole All-Star game in that situation. Eric Ward says it's Tuesday and Wade and Newman are still on the roster. Plus, we still haven't made a move for a starting pitcher. If Perry is waiting till the end of July, good luck with that fat boy. Oof. Also, the Archangel says, I can't even say that they are a 500 team. They have not been 500 for a day or two. Also, you have Grillmaster checking in with at best Angels will be 500 on the road trip, 3-4 on a 7-game homestand, sell at the deadline. If that is what it is, then we got to do it. But how do we do it and who do we get for it? We got also, it says, I know a guy that spends all his time, hard-earned money just to see the team win. Also, we don't even try to put a winning team out there. And again, we've talked about that over and over. If you can put a winning team out there, this team will, the fans will be there in full support. Baldwin says win a series little by little, get over 500. Again, if this team is serious, then you play it one game at a time, one day at a time. Also, the Archangel says, I believe the management of this team has caused over 10 losses. Dude, I think it should have been, it's like three or five more than that. It's been like 15 more losses. Storms X says, please sell. James Cano says, who's going to take the wheel with this trade deadline? Will it be a collective? Let's go for it. Be any voice of reason in the organization to sell if they're out of it? That's hard. I don't know, man. I don't know because we don't know how they run the team. They've never been transparent since Disney. Also, who do you think we should have drafted? I right now, I say Cade Anderson. The fact that we got Brennan, we're stuck with him. We got to roll with him. He could be really, really good. He could be proving me wrong and others that think that we made a mistake. I hope that's the case. Believe me, I'm not hating on the guy. But when we talked about all these guys we could have got, I mean, you could have got, even if you wanted to go offense, you could have gotten Anthony. You could have got Anthony. Why am I thinking Carmelo Anthony? God, what's his name? Holiday. You could have got Holiday at third base, and then you could have had third base of Holiday. You could have had Neto, Moore, and then Shonowell. That would have bolstered the offense, but then that still doesn't take care of the pitching. So you're effed either way. There you go, Sports Prozac. I can't change teams. I'm loyal. That's all of us right here that are in the chat. That's for damn sure. Mo says, I predicted cirrhosis of the liver for Artie. There's still time. Wow. Balls, and hovering around 500. Yeah, Manfred hopefully will be gone soon. Make or break time, Mateo says. It sure is, man. Also, I have meeting with the Angels media. What should I tell them to ask? Well, you gotta ask me offline. Message me right there because I've been trying to get media credentials for a while, and they've been turning me down. I wonder why. Because I wouldn't be these soft, these guys that ask these softball questions. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna ask them the real shit. Mateo says, overall, what grade would you give our draft? I'm saying a C-. It's incomplete right now until we find out how these guys go and if they can make it to the next level. D plus says Sports Prozac. Mateo says, so can I buy my playoff tickets? No. Andrew says, I like the Johnny Slowanski kid. Heard that he can pitch and hit. It would be cool if we can develop a two-way player. Well, we'll see. Todd is so happy you went live. What's up, bro? What's up, Dimitro? This was prep class right here. Storms X says, at Todd, did you see Fox fired, canceled a bunch of shows? So many recycled basic posers. Real fans tune into fan shows like Heedy nowadays. And I'm the same one, Dimitro. I watch a lot of content creators. I don't like going outside of content creators because I figure that these guys and gals all have like the same kind of topics. Like nobody's original anymore. They're more in tune to be just like, hey, copy and paste argument shows, debate shows. It's not like it was before, and they don't cover the sports like they used to. Like again, instead of praising the players, instead of being all about because that's the reason why baseball decided to pull out of ESPN, because all ESPN ever has done is trash them. I mean, that's your product. I mean, again, that's your money maker. That's like if you go to a taco place and you say, man, I really want to try their tacos. I heard their tacos look fire. They got good pictures on the outside of the restaurant. And you go in there and right away you ask me, hey, what do you think about the tacos? Which tacos should I get? Oh, I don't know about those tacos right now. They may give you chorro. You might get diarrhea from those. Not really good. And our drinks aren't that great. Our waters, they're not that fruity. They're really watered down. Like we give you more ice than anything. I mean, that's basically what ESPN does when they talk baseball. You don't ever hear about the good games, the good series. You hear them since SportsCenter has died over the last 10 years. It's always, oh, this organization sucks. If they're not talking Yankees, Dodgers, every other team doesn't matter. They talk about the ratings going down, even though they've gotten higher. They try to shit on baseball as much as they possibly can. and they always elevate basketball, which has been a shit product, and then it's all about football. They'll talk football year round, and when they talk football, they only talk quarterback. They never talk the entire team. It takes a team to win. So at some point, they've lost their way. They've gotten politics into it. They've gotten religion into it. They've not covered it. Like, say again, if I'm a taco place, I'm gonna feed you the tacos. I'm gonna taco my tacos up. I'm gonna try to make sure you have the best time at my taco stand. The ESPN's just like, no. You want men's sports? We're gonna give you a WNBA basketball. Shove it down your throat. You got to watch it. Women's soccer. You got to watch MLS. You got to watch this tennis. Oh my God, the Masters. Most men is your freaking product. Is your what you're looking for. You know, like that's the base of your fandom. So why are you going away? Why are you pushing this? NASCAR? Again, there's men that like those sports, but it's a small percentage compared to the top 4 sports. Yet they don't want to talk about those 4 sports. So it's terrible. And that's why I don't like ESPN no more. I could do a whole show on that. But getting back to it, thank you, Demetrio. Again, when you have people like myself that talk mainly Angels baseball, and this network that covers the Angels baseball, whether it's fans that go to the stands, because we're in the stands with you. We're by the fans, for the fans, by the fans. You can now look for a show that has every type of, like there's a Mets page, there's a hardcore Royals page, there's a hardcore Indiana Pacers page. I mean, like you can literally just say, screw the BS. I don't want to sit through an hour show that's not even talking the sports or showing 10-second clips. I just want to watch what my team is doing. I want to know what my team is doing. And if you have a space, space that you can go to feel good about watching your program or your team, the coverage of the team, then you go to it. And then obviously too, can you go to ESPN and be interactive with them? Not really. But you can come to a page like this. I read your comments. Hell, I'll even take phone calls sometimes. And you can come on here and tell me about how you're doing certain, as a fan, how you feeling, your takes, and we can agree to disagree, or we could just be on the same page. It's cool. And that's what you want. That's what I've always wanted. That's why we always started this page as a collective unit and as a team, because everyone on this team at Halos in the Infield provides a different take about the same team that we're covering. And we also do things behind the scenes. We get player interviews. We have past and present. And then we've also done things with the stadium. We've done charity work. So we're basically part of, we're like the biggest, I'd say, fan like friendly page out there, as far as like we're going to be right there cheering on the Angels, plus being there with you in the stands. And then also getting the behind the scenes shit. We give you the scoops. We got all of it here. And that's why, again, people are going away from from just watching ESPN and other stuff like that, Fox Sports, because why go to those places when you got, like Demetrio said, pages like ours. Ambush says, yeah, dude, we're gonna fail these 9 high schoolers we drafted. Our pitching development in the minors sucks. It does suck. Narrow says, I hoped for 4 games over 500. That would have been freaking nice. That would have been really nice. Corey says, sup, man? How are you doing? Go Halos. Let's start the night, the right track on a Friday. Let's get back on the right track, he says. Also, build a new minor league facility and show those minor league players that we care about their players. And they just started paying them a little bit better and giving them a little bit more food. Sports Pros back. Also, he says, we are part of ownership. We overpay for beers and food. The jersey you deserve, your option. Opinion. Also, Tyler Skaggs situation. Look how much shit and issues there's that too. Ruben says, NO wins on a swing off. What the fuck is that? Yeah, it was terrible. Thanks to Rob Manfred, he continues to ruin the sport in the All-Star game. Storm Zach says, I thought if we were under slot, we would have taken Quentin Young with a second round. Also, Brian checks in with, they were saying during the All-Star game, the Nationals got 3 guys playing in today's All-Star game from Juan Soto trade. What could the Angels look like if we traded Ohtani? Man, we could have had 4 or 5 players right now. And if you look at Tampa Bay, we could have had some of their no-namers. All no playoff tickets, dang it. I will say I like how the players in the All-Star game wore their own their own team jerseys. And that's been something that they haven't done in a while. So I'm actually happy they did that at least. Well, at least someone knew how to pull out. Manfred can't. Michael says ESPN shows way too much NFL and NBA coverage over baseball. They don't even touch on it. Also, Mo says ESPN loves the WNBA. They sure do. For a channel that doesn't really watch WNBA, and for people that don't watch it, why are you shoving it down our throat? Grillmaster says ESPN doesn't even talk hockey. They've got their own problems, but ESPN doesn't give the NHL lick of respect. They don't, and it's a really good sport too. Embarrassing that 4.0 ERA. It was our only All-Star. I agree. Janice says, Todd, how much do the Angels pay Zach Neto for being their first pick in the first round? I know Mickey Moniak was the first pick, and he had a nice payday. I think they get anywhere from around $8 to $10 million. So that's not too bad. I know Moniak got it with the Phillies, though. He didn't get it with us. Also, Artie paying for defense when same person sued him seems cover up with Skaggs. True. Also, Sports Prozac says we need to have start having professional softball. That's coming around the corner. Actually, you know what? I'm actually, out of all the women's sports, and I'm not being sexist, but I will say I do like me some softball. But this upcoming year, we are going to go throwback style with women's sports, and I am geeked up for it because I've heard good things about it. And that is fast pitch overhand baseball, women's baseball. They're going to start with 10 teams. I can't wait to see that. I've seen a throwback game with when they were honoring the obviously a league of their own players from way back, and that was pretty cool. And these girls can play, and some of them can hit really good. So I'm looking really forward to that. Again, like women's volleyball is nice too. But I'm not a WNBA fan by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not a soccer fan when it comes to women's sports, although I know they can play and play pretty good. If anything, if I watch any soccer, it's because my girl has me watching soccer come Olympics. And that's fine. But again, I'm a baseball guy, football guy, and hockey now. I don't give a shit about basketball unless I play it. But not to get too far off the subject, but I'm waiting for that women's baseball sport to start because I've heard good things. Thank you, Misa. Also, Corey says Angels need to win the next 6 games to have a chance at the wild card. You got 7 games that are huge coming up after the break. Not 7 games, 9 games. You got 3 with the Phillies, 3 with the Mets, and then at home with Seattle. You're chasing Seattle. You're 4 games out, and you're bunched with 7 other teams. It's going to be crazy. Gerard says Sunday Night Baseball so bad now. Sad because I loved it when I was a kid. John Miller, Joe Morgan, and Juiced Up Freaks. The 90s were better. Get off my lawn. Thank you, Jared, because I'm right there with you. I am right there, Gerard. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm right there with you. I loved back in the day ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. It was much better. Also, Grandmaster says Gavin grounded from content creating because he's advertising his Viagra. Well, I think we have something new.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area. How about a yummy tasting nut? You guys are crazy. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back. What's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson. Don't get it twisted. You've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. It's hard. It's hard. Oh, man, it feels great. Oh, yummy. Oh, how about a yummy? Oh, magic. Oh, my goodness. Come on. Tasting nut. Guys.
A little interesting there video, but that's what he sent me earlier. Just promoting them a little bit. Eric Ward says it's 9:23 and Wade and Newman are still on the team. Perry gets the nachos for not making some moves. Also, Angels should be in sell move. Big P Lee says no chance. Worst pitching in the American League. Somehow they're still right there, though. Just use Taylor Ward and older guys to get some young players. Sports Prozac says not as hard as I almost was when the Angels almost trapped Anderson, or almost made Anderson, then skipped him, and then I got soft. Mo says, actually, Todd, I've been thinking of starting a fantasy WNBA league. Are you in? Yes. Gerard says, Heedy makes me feels like a European supporters group, real sense of community. I want to make it to the next Bruheim night if we can get childcare for our vampire children. Well, yeah, I'll set one up here soon because I got to get one going for August. I should have some baseball news right now. Locked On can lock off right there. I love that. Eric also says, last time I watched an All-Star game, I actually liked my wife. Can't go back that far to remember. Damn, shots fired. How does a catcher win at the home run derby? I don't know. Also, Sophie Cunningham was fine as hell. Eric says, if it's women's softball or volleyball with no bras, I'm down for that. Jeez. Okay. Also, Mateo says, I saw a tweet yesterday. Jansen said, I want to finish the season in Anaheim. If I don't, I will be disappointed. Well, I think he needs to be traded. I think you can get some actual return for him. Sports Prozac says, I'm going to take all the stuff now because Angels got me so upset that I've been soft all week. My girl hates the Angels. Yeah, it's not the great Viagra for you. Tony C says, smash that like button and share. Let's go Angels into a better second half. Angels will not be smart and buy and sell at the trade deadline. Mateo says what we're all thinking. He's fat.
This fat son of a bitch is going to drown us all out. He's going to calm down, okay? All right? He's fat.
Demetrius says, then he says, come on, makes me laugh every time. Eric Ward says, seeing Gavin's pops crash his broadcast is hilarious. Also, Tony C says, Chris Berman back in the day was awesome for ESPN, especially the home run derby. It was awesome. Also, any softball news in August, I will have that, I promise you, on Friday, because I'm finally meeting with our guy. I know some good Viagra, Todd. I don't need any right now, man. But I will have it, Josh, and anyone that wants to participate in our softball tournament, I will have all the freaking news about it. It's going to be pretty cool. We also have that thing, don't worry, coming up right now for the Angels Ohapi bowling tournament. I think it's $115 gets you in on all the autographs or the players, meeting the players, meet and greet players, bowling with us on our Heedy teams, because we're gonna have 2 of them. So there's only 6 or 7 slots available. You're gonna get a free shirt, free hat, plus you're going to get a autograph from Logan Ohapi. So that's pretty awesome right there. Are you gonna do any New Year's in July promotion after the All-Star game? Our Angels are. That would be hilarious. Let's see. Also, can you all talk about Ducks hockey? Jared says, yes, that is coming to the network. We are going to be adding Anaheim Ducks hockey. So you're going to have post-game shows for the Ducks. You're going to have, so stay tuned here. You're also going to have a pretty big name in Ducks broadcasting be a part of the show. So you're going to love that. We're going to have Angels Ducks talk all year round. So hopefully you guys and gals can stay local with us, come out to our events, because we're going to have events now year round. And also you're going to be able to talk your 2 favorite teams if that's the case, man, because I'm pumped up for that. We're going to do a Ducks podcast where it's going to be recapping the week that was, and then we're going to have a freaking we're going to have a every night post game. So I can't wait, dude. It's going to be really, really fun. Dimitri also says 4 games out at the wild card break, man, we could really sneak in. Do you think we can? I want to honk my honk, but I can't. I won't. And Andrew also says, so sad we had no player in the game 2 years in a row. Hopefully we have one next year. We'll probably have multiple, Andrew. Heck yeah, Ducks and hockey are going to be on this page. Yes, sir. And also Mateo says, I know this is not baseball related, but I told my offense today at football practice that they had to stop making mistakes because they have to be perfect. Us coaches expecting perfection. Don't be too hard on them. Remember, there's things you can and can't do. So here we go. I want to bring up some stuff real quick, and then you guys can tell me in the comments if these players are, well, or what grade you would give them. And let's start out with Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward is currently batting he's batting 224. He's got 108 strikeouts in 96 games. He has only 38 walks, which is one of the best on the team, which is crazy to think. He's got 21 homers, 65 RBIs. Grade him A to F right now. Then we're going to go to Nolan Shonawell. Shonawell right now. Grade him A to F. Right now he's got 8 home runs, 40 RBIs, batting 275. He's got a slugging of 401 and an OPS of 764. His WAR is 1.4. I want to see what kind of grade you give Shonawell. And then I'll read him off. Louis Renifo. This guy, really, I needed him to be a breakout. I really did. And he's one of the reasons why we got Christian Moore up here right now. 4 home runs only, 22 RBIs only. He struck out 60 times in limited play, but he has been hitting good of late. He's brought his average up from 201 to 236. Give me a grade on him. Zach Neto, El Capitan. El Capitan's got 15 homers, 33 RBIs. I'd like the RBIs to be up a little bit more, around 50 or so, but at leadoff, it's kind of hard to do, especially when the bottom of the order isn't doing it. And he didn't play of all April. So you have to keep that in consideration. His OPS is 818. His batting average is 279. Give me a grade on him. Joe Adell. Joe Adell right now, 19 homers, 54 RBIs. In my opinion, big-time all-star snub. Randy Arozarena should not have been there. This guy's better than him. Julio Rodriguez, popularity vote. Adell had better numbers. But 19 homers, 54 RBIs. Strikeouts still a little bit high. But as of late, they've been coming way down. Remember, his average was at 202. His average is 243. Actually, it was 195. He brought it up to 243, nearly 50 point, bringing his average up. He's at 800 OPS. And then give me a grade for Logan O'Hoppe. Logan O'Hoppe, 17 homers, 37 RBIs, tailed off here late towards the All-Star break. But in the last few games, right before the All-Star break, he did get a few more hits and did work some walks, cut down on the strikeouts. But, man, June was not his month. Very, very frustrated with him in June. He's got a 267 on-base percentage. That's low as funk. And he's got to be better. So give me a grade on him. I'm going to skip Soler. I'm going to skip Trout because, again, those are 2 established players. I'm going to go I'm going to look at Christian Moore in limited play, 53 at-bats. He has 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 189 average, although 302 on-base percentage, 396 slugging, a 698 OPS. Defensively been solid. I want a quick early number on him, or a grade on him, I'm sorry. And then last guy I want you guys to grade out if possible. Reed Detmers. Reed Detmers. I want to get your guys' idea on what you think about Reed Detmers. I'm going to skip those starters and most of the other guys. And I just want to focus in on him because obviously, projected a starter, didn't become a starter, was kind of like, asked out of the rotation. You're thinking, man, Kwanowitz beat him out. And then he was put in a bullpen spot, was very, very iffy in the beginning of the season, but man, he got on a tear. And he's proven to be very good. I want to know your grade and what you give him as a reliever. He's currently 3-2 with 2 saves, 43 innings pitched, 43 hits allowed, 20 earned runs in that time period. He's only allowed 4 home runs, and his ERA is only at 4.15. Had he not had that real bad stretch in Seattle, we could be talking about a guy with a sub-2 ERA. So let's get through these comments and see what you guys have to say about that. I'll touch on the TikTok real quick. It's lame they didn't use Kikuchi tonight, Rob says, and that's because we used him right before the break. B+ in Moore, but Moore has a big future right there. And I think Detmers should start again, Rob says. Also trade Detmers to the Brewers. He says we will fix him. Brewers fan right there. Let's get into some of these over here on YouTube and X. Let's see what they say about the picks, boy, because you guys got a lot of grades in here. Thank you for participating. Grillmaster says Ward gets a C minus. EQ says C minus for him. Also B minus though for Josh. Andrew says Ward is a C. I didn't mention Soler, but he still gives him a grade D plus. Eric Ward says Ward gets a D. EQ says C minus. As far as Shaunawell, Grillmaster says A minus. That's pretty high. Eric says he gets a B. Shaunawell gets a B plus from EQ. B plus also from Andrew. Mateo checks in Ward with a C minus. Grillmaster says for Renifo, C plus. Also D by Eric Ward for Renifo. D for EQ. Mateo loves him some Shaunawell. Andrew says C minus for Louis Renifo. As far as Neto, you get an A from Grillmaster, a C minus from C minus Renifo right there from Mateo. EQ says a solid A. Also, Eric Ward says he also gets an A. Mateo says B. Also, Tony C says for Ward gets a D. Andrew Freak says B plus for Neto. Adele, Eric Ward says gets a B. Grillmaster says A minus. Tony C says an A for Neto. Also B minus for Adele. EQ says Joe Adele gets a B plus. Mateo likes the B. Gets a B2 for him. Joe Adele B actually. So everyone giving Joe Adele his love right there. He's getting a lot of B's right there. Ruben says a B right there as well. B plus for Neto. Let's see. I'll pick you up on a softball event. Yeah, let me know, Sports Prozac. I'll be there. Also, if we can get 5+ innings with only allowing few runs, he could be helping the rotation, meaning Detmers. When it comes to Logan O'Hoppe, EQ gives him a grade of D. Tony C says another B for Odell. Logan gets a C minus from Eric Ward. He gets a D from Grillmaster, a C minus from Andrew, and let's see, a C minus from Mateo. Tony C says an F for O'Hoppe. And when it comes to Archangel says C for Ward, C for Christian Moore, C also for Eric Ward. And I'm ignoring Soler and Trout right now because again they're vets. They've been through the ringer. I'm focusing on these other players. Also Moore for the C right there. Moore is a C because I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt since he's a rookie. Archangel gives Shaunawell an A. JCH says Christian Moore is to be determined, and that's a good trade right there. It's more of like an incomplete, right? Detmers gets a solid B right there from Eric Ward. Reed is an A and a good showpiece for our bullpen. EQ likes him as an A. Renifo Archangel says C. Detmers a B minus. Shaunawell A from Tony C. Archangel says A for Neto. CH says y'all negative Nancy's. Can we grade Newman? And then Eric Ward says big F. Yeah, yeah, he does suck. Simo is C for clutch. It's weird. And yes, Nick Tate says Newman an F. But it is weird that Simo came up and made such a impression as a hitter in the clutch. It's really weird that he's done that. But I love that he can be so good so fast. And there's more to come from him. I believe he's going to be a rock star with the Angels in a year or two. Joshua says Neto's got an A in his book. Number 6 is an F minus. Josh says Adele B plus. Hendricks is a C plus. Archangel says Newman should be batting 10th. Manny says, hey, everyone gets an A plus. Gooby. Also, Jadis says, not gonna lie, I was hoping Cal Raleigh would get his swing messed up for the rest of the season. There's still a chance of that because a lot of these hitters, once they hit the home run derby, they tend to screw up their swings once the regular season kicks back off. Newman should be sweeping floors at the Big A, Eric Ward says. Also, Newman, Lamont Wade Jr. F pluses, and you got to think that those two players will get the boot pretty pretty soon here. Oh, by the way, Ruben says, can we grade our TV announcers? This one should be funny. What do you give? Let's start off with Wayne Randazzo. What do you give Wayne Randazzo? And then let's see also, what do you give Gooby? What do you give Terry? What do you give Patty O? And what do you give Mark Langston? So those 5 right there are our announcers right there. Simu scared Renifo into playing better. He did. Darno, a B. Yeah, dude, Darno's been a beast out there for sure. And CH says Tyler Brenner is going to prove y'all wrong. I'm hoping, CH. I want to be proven wrong. I want that dude to succeed. Trust me. Ghost Doom says Gooby's a 10 out of 10. He loves him some Gooby. Rob says I liked the Steve and Rex days. I did too. I love Hudler showing the fastball, and that was pretty cool. Let's see. Wayne gets an A- from Andrew. Eric says he gets a C. Mateo says A-. Patty O gets an F. Mo says Erica's left eye gets an A, the other one gets a B. O'Neill another F. Gooby B-. Randazzo B. Gooby a B. See, Andrew also says Wayne an S+, Gooby an S+, Patty O a C-. Satisfactory. Gooby gets C. He's too repetitive. Damn. Langston a B. Gooby a B. Terry a B. JCH says Mark an A. Wayne B. Gooby, what the fuck? I love it. Also, Andrew says Alex Curry a double D. Matty V and A. I gotta say, this year, Matty V, when he worked with Gooby on the East Coast trip, they were great. I like Wayne and Gooby, but man, Matty V was awesome with Gooby. I thought they had a better back and forth. I did enjoy those broadcasts. User says, you think we'll be buyers or sellers this year? Again, this Angel organization is so ass backwards. They'll probably sell when they should buy, and they'll probably buy when they should sell. So I take it game by game. Again, these next 9 games are literally going to determine what the Angels do. You have 9 games to figure out who you are. Are you going to be a competitor and you're going to man up and beat the Phillies and beat the Mets? You know, if they're able to win 6 of the next 9 games, and especially against Seattle, if you're able to win 6 out of 9 against those 3 teams, then you're probably going to be buyers. But if you lose 6 out of 9 to those 3 teams, you're most likely going to be sellers. So to answer your question, user, the next 9 games are literally going to tell what this team does. Tony C says Wayne's a B, Eric's a B, Erica, I should say. Also, I'd give Terry a B. Out of here. Gooby A-, Patrick F, Taylor Ward E right there. Can we get a new coaching staff? Daniel Brito says Langston A at the best calls it like it is. I do like him. Langston is a very good broadcaster. And Tony C says Patty O, get him an incomplete F. Also, Sega Boy says the girl from Salt Lake is hot. I haven't seen her yet. Artie gets an F. Yes. Wayne A. Gooby a B-. Terry and Patty F. Oh, he doesn't like. Also, Mark A. right there is so cool. The girl, yeah, I gotta check her out right there. Also, let's see, Roger Lodge is a D. Dude, I don't even consider Roger and friggin'. They're too cheesy, man. They are way too cheesy. They're terrible broadcasters. Roger Lodge and friggin' our boy Trent Rush is terrible. Terrible. Andrew says, I miss Victor Rojas, man. That guy gets a S++, but I'm good with Wayne and Gooby. They are good commentators, and when they're together, they are. Roger is an S for Stamos. Oh, man. Every time I laugh, that's how I still have not lost this goddamn cough, dude. It is stuck in my chest. But yeah, that's basically what I want to do. I want to get the pulse of everybody tonight. Obviously, watching that abomination that was the All-Star break is pretty bad. So, I was trying to just, get some, content for tonight and see what you guys thought. With the Angels getting ready, obviously with a day off tomorrow and Thursday, Angels get back at it Friday. And it's gonna be, again, if you want to hang on every pitch, these next 9 games are gonna get, because the Angels could start out really good or they could be very cold. And it's either gonna cause us
emotional damage.
or we can just take it like Roger says.
We got a lot of baseball left to be played, and the season starts tonight.
Yes. We're gonna have to really, it's gonna be one game at a time. And then real quick, Ducks hockey will be right around the corner. So if the Angels do tank, we'll have some content starting up in the second half for the Ducks, and we'll give you dates starting next week, actually, about when we're going to start the channel with some Ducks hockey. And we're going to be hockey minded and baseball at the same time. Season does start Friday. What's the dumbest thing you've ever heard Roger say this season? Man, he did go on KT. No, it was Fox, and he had the bucket hat, which is up there on the on-air sign. And he came on and he said, these things are really, really good. I mean, they have nothing on Louis Vuitton. These are so stylish. And it's like, man, come on, dude, shut up, dude. I can't stand him. I think of that as probably one of the dumbest things outside of, whenever someone comes off the injured list or whatever, he's always like, boy, oh boy, it's like picking up a free agent. No, it's not, dumbass. They're a part of the roster. They've been there the whole time. He's a bootlicking house man. Andrew says, I cannot fucking stand the other commentators, especially the Dodgers. Fuck them. Baker saying, quack, quack, quack. Rubens, go, Kings, go. You think the Angels make any trades soon or wait? They're going to wait. Again, the 9-game streak, they're going to wait. Roger B. Roger says, running up my butt right now. Joshua says, I'm excited for the Ducks season. Fisting the North Star. Love that one. Roger Lodge was the ass hat on Blind Date. Yeah, he was still an ass hat. NHL does release their schedule tomorrow. What is Trent Rush saying? I have no idea at this point. I can't do an impression right now. Save my life. I'm expecting a lip dick series in Philly and New York. Oof. I hope you're wrong, but Eric's calling for 2 wins. Also, who's the big name coming on the hockey thing? Is it the Great 8? I wish it was. It's not. So, but we are going to get a big time Angels announcer to come on with us. And he will be doing some pretty damn good content with us, and he's going to be part of our channel. So we've got that locked in. And again, I'm meeting with him again this weekend to iron out all the details, and then we should be ready to give all of you the details on the upcoming season. Baker says Angels playoffs. It all depends on these next 9 games. It really does right now to see where this team gets at. Gavin gets the D's nuts. Also, and Wade and Newman are still on the team, which is hard to say at this point. I can't believe they're still on the team. Renifo, Lamont, Brogdon, Zephyr John won't be there July 31st. We'll see if that happens, if they come into the trade move right there. Angels need to move Ward. Yes, they do. Sega Boy says we need a hustle player in left, like Miami left fielder. We do need some players that are going to make actual plays on the ball when they're right there. I would trade with Minnesota, St. Louis, Tampa, or Miami. Again, to get players, I think the Angels aren't going to be able to go to like your Pittsburghs that are going to demand high prices for their players. They're going to have to go to teams that are looking to shed salary, and they're going to have to probably, especially if the Angels are not in it, they're going to have to trade to teams that are what do you call it? They're gonna have to trade the teams that are gonna need a contending closer like Jansen. Taylor Ward can provide pop in the back end of a lineup, but Marsha. Janice says Renifo C, Adele, Shonawell B minus, Neto Detmer an A minus, Ohapi C, Simo a B. So those are good grades right there. Wish the Angels would get Esteury Ruiz from the Dodgers, or wish the Angels would get Esteury Ruiz. I wish we would have got Pagaz, dude. But damn. By the way, and here's one that I want to run by you guys right now. Do you believe, or can you believe, with all the things that the that Major League Baseball has done to distance itself from any kind of like battery towards women, as they should, as other sports should? I think baseball's been pretty aggressive, even when people are found innocent in the long run, but they still laid hands on a woman, whether it was consensual or not. Can you believe? And again, I didn't make fun of his deficiency until he did what he did. But of all things, urinal cake, aka Urias, aka Cyclops from the Dodgers, is going to be reinstated? Yes. In a week, Scott Boris's client will be fielding phone calls for the wife beater, girlfriend beater, Cyclops, wannabe X-Men, urinal cake Urias. That dude is going to be allowed to pitch in the majors. I don't get it. Osuna was blackballed. Trevor Bauer was found innocent, Sny Guy says, but he's not allowed to pitch. But you'll have on one hand, this is the one thing I will say about Bauer. Bauer, I think, has killed his cause with running his mouth. I think the MLB would have been forced to allow him to come back. But because his antics, even in Korea and other places he's pitched, and the fact that he won't shut the hell up on his podcasts or on his social media, MLB does not want him coming back to their sport, getting money, getting paid, getting all that back money he should have got from the Dodgers and whatnot. He's going to go through lawsuits and then talking shit at the same time. It's a bad look for baseball. And I'm not saying it's the right call, but if you put yourself in the owner's shoes, why would you want that back in your league? So I get it. Bauer will never pitch in the major leagues again. So even though he was found innocent of the actual act, the fact that he laid hands on a woman, whether she's telling the truth or not, and it did come out that she wasn't, he will get bad publicity from the fans, the female fans. MLB does not want to lose fans. So they're valuing that over Bauer, plus the fact that he's going to bring bad press. He'll talk openly and to everybody. And Manfred doesn't want that. So Bauer's out. But you can lay, and Andrew's right, Bauer is a douche. But you can lay hands on a woman as bad as the running back from the Baltimore Ravens a few years ago, where he was dragging her out of the freaking, by her hair, out of the elevator. And that fool still gets honored a few years after he what do you call it? After he retires. Ray Rice, thank you, Sny Guy. He gets honored by Baltimore. Yet this dude Urias beat the ever-living shit out of his girlfriend on camera in front of other people trying to stop him. And I don't care if you got one eye and you're Cyclops. I don't care if you got tattoos and you think you're a badass. You never lay hands on a woman. And the same thing goes for Bauer. I don't care if you're a badass, whatever. I mean, listen, look, sexually, people do some crazy crap, man. I mean, just ask, I'm blanking on names, but the receiver for the Giants, I mean, he liked taking Cleveland Steamers on women. You had, you do some freaky stuff. People dress up in outfits and furries. There's all kinds of crap, right? I mean, people do some crazy stuff, and maybe they like to slap their lover or whatever. That's fine. But when you beat them and beat their face in, or at least put some pretty damn good, licks in, if you're hitting someone in a drunken, like you're hitting someone in a drunken bar fight, that's a little much, don't you think? So if anything, if the girl was lying, it was consensual. I mean, still, that's rough for it to get out to the media that because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that goes on, like ain't no party like says Diddy stuff. There is some Diddy stuff that goes on in everyone's household at some point. Maybe not any kind of, baby oil stuff and massive white parties, but you do have some pretty crazy people out there. We all look normal during the day, but then at night and behind closed doors, who knows, right? But all I'm trying to say is it's never good to hit a woman in any kind of sense. I mean, I don't play those games where you hit a woman, even if it's sexual. I can't do it. I wasn't raised to do that. I may do some freaky stuff, but I go that way. And the fact that it went public with Bauer, you're never going to win that battle in the public courtroom with fans. I mean, he's going to get booed the hell out. Imagine if he signs here in the Angels, you're going to have all these freaking, feminists or women's rights people coming out there, and rightfully so. They're going to be shitting on him, getting so pissed off at him, booing him, protesting, stuff like that. It's going to happen. But if you have Urias wasn't doing it sexually either, man. I mean, he was just literally trying to beat the crap out of her. Ray Rice, the same thing. There's many athletes that should, that have, especially in football, that have gotten away with stuff, DUIs, as much as people have lost their kids, their parents, their loved ones, via, DUIs, they still let it go. NFL lets it go. Major League Baseball has been pretty good at getting rid of, stuff like that happens. They've had their, players, like I think it was Zuna. They let him go after a while. He kind of did his rehab and he's back and everybody forgot. So we are a forgiving nation. We're a forgiving people when it comes to stuff like that. We like giving second chances, but when you hit women and stuff like that, and it's so blatant, dude. I mean, how can you just turn a blind eye to that? No pun intended. How can you do that, dude? I just don't understand that. I don't care how fast you can throw a ball. I don't care how far you can hit a ball. That shouldn't be an option. And unfortunately, that dude's going to have a chance to go somewhere. And I'm going to be pretty pissed, to be honest with you, if a team signs him. If it's a team in Korea, fine. If it's a team in the Dominican, fine. If he goes to the Mexican League, fine. Any other league, name it. If he goes, great. Good for him. But nah, dude, he better not be a major league ball player. That's going to really piss me off. Emmy says Dylan Cease at the deadline to the Big A. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, dude. They need their pitching, and he's going to be in San Diego for sure. Mo says, what if she has a penis and shoulders like a linebacker? Well, then you're going to get beat, sir. You're going to get beat. What happens if Bauer magically signs with us? Well, it just makes Angels even worse than what they are, if anything. Did someone say baby oil? I knew that was going to spark you up. See, also, how about the Siberian League, Todd? Try smacking around those chicks. Yeah, absolutely. Do we trade Mancada and for who? At this point, again, Mancada could be a player that we could get something for, but not as much because he didn't stay healthy. I think he's had a decent year so far, while all things considered, missing all that time. But when you look at it, man, I mean, again, these guys have really the only guy right now who people are going to ignore his batting average and his strikeouts is Taylor Ward. And for some reason, they're going to ignore his defense as well. So again, you're not going to have too many trade pieces outside of Ward and outside of Kenley Jansen that are really going to be wanted by other teams. No one's going to go after Jorge Soler. They might try to fluff you a little bit by trying to talk Neto or Shonawell, but that's not going to happen. So yeah, Mancada's got 7 homers, 21 RBIs, 231 average, 326 on base percentage. He's only had 117 at bats this season, so you haven't gotten a big enough sample size. He's got some talent, but his defense has been iffy again. So I think if the Angels are smart, just focus on trying to get rid of as many veterans. Try to get Renifo, try to get Anderson gone, try to get Mancada gone, try to get Jansen gone. If you can't, then just do what you can, let him go. at the end of the season, but you got to try to get something for these players before the end of the season. You can't just completely stand pat. You got to really, really try to get some minor leaguers to help out the farm system for the next upcoming year or two. So Mancada to the Yankees, bring up Guzman. No. Trade Soler for a batting tee. Also trade Wade for some towels. Daniel says, with the Angels needing starting pitching with Kikuchi. Kikuchi, I think, is going to wind up signing or staying because obviously he's there for 3 years. This is year 1. So I think you build around him and you build around Soriano next year. You just hope that this team can finish good pitching-wise and try to see where they're at towards the end of the year. Trade Newman for some Chew. I don't think that's a good trade for whoever's trading us to Chew. Corey says, I would love for the Angels to get Ryan McMahon. I would too, but it's definitely tough to see what we're going to do coming up here. Do we sell Soriano? I know there's some teams that would like him. I wouldn't want to give up on him just yet. I think right now you got to get him to, just finish the year strong. I just don't. Vote for Bonds for all of Fame says I could see him keeping Ward and just taking a qualifying pick. Tyler, you're a douche. You're myopic right now. He says, I'd listen to whatever Gavin says. He's smart. Trey Gavin. Oh, man, that's messed up, man. That's what the hell's going on here?
What the hell's going on out here?
Real quick, I'll just play this just because I want to hear something funny. Where is it? See, that's hold on.
How dare you?
No.
Call me a bootlicking houseman all you want. I don't give a damn.
There you go. This one. Wait.
Let me tell you something about my guy, John Stamos. So I was able to go in the back bedroom and unscrew the old balls and running up my butt right now. You get out of it what you put into it. John Stamos choked on me. He was so great.
Sandy Alcantara would be a good move if we had the capital to trade for him, and it would be one of those things where it's like, okay, we're banking on him being in the rotation next year, because this year for Alcantara is the bounce back from the Tommy John, so you always have that one struggling year after the good year. So I wouldn't bet, he's had a rough year with the Marlins, not the greatest, but I would guarantee you he's a lot better moving forward. So Eric says Gavin and Marcia, next power couple right there. She likes the yummy tasting nut. Who would you trade for Ryan McMahon? Let me look up his numbers one more time here. Let me see what we'd have to give up here for Ryan McMahon. And then I'll go into the end here. Ryan McMahon, 13 homers, 28 RBIs, 212. Definitely a guy in the come up, but he still has a low trade. 212 right there, 70 hits. I don't like the average, especially coming from Colorado, but he's still a young hitter. Still could be some upside. They wouldn't take any. They would take a youth player. I don't think he's worth it right now, to be honest with you. I don't think they would take a aging veteran. He's not like a veteran like a LeMahieu, to where we can trade contract for contract. So should we be scared against the upcoming schedule? Yes, we should, Miles, because again, this team, their season depends on these next 9 games and what they're going to do. Perry's going to have to be very creative with the trades. Didi's baby oil won't be needed. Also trade Roger Lodge and number 6 for Newman, 1 beer at Golden Road. Yeah, I'd trade all 3 for those. So with that being said, you have 9 games to prove yourself a buyer or a seller. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to start Friday. 66 games left, people. And I will say this about the 66 games ahead. It's one game at a time. One game at a time. And try to go 1-0. And hopefully good things will happen. If they don't, we're going to have to just take it as it is. And again, coming up with Philly here on Friday, 3-game set, and then a 3-game set in New York, and then a 3-game set at the Big A against Seattle's huge. So that's going to really tell how the season is going to go. We have literally 66 games left, and I'm going to just say it as it is. I think the Angels go 33-33. I want to be wrong, but unless they really can turn on in the second half, 33-33, that would have them finishing 80-82. And again, like, I want them to be 81-81 at least at the worst. And at the best, I think they can do 85-86 wins tops. And I mean tops. Like, they'd have to have a couple 6 to 7 game win streaks in between the rest of the 66 games. And that's me just being very honkish. Very, very honkish. You know, they'd have to play above their heads big time to get to that 85-86 threshold. But if they were to get to the 85-86 threshold, it would be like Light That Baby Up 57 says, I fear we will be teased with a wild card spot but fall short. That's what it would be. We would probably lose to Seattle in the final week of the season. Now you got to ask yourself, do you want to see this team finish 80-82 with no chance of playoffs in September? Or would you want to see this team fall a game or two short and be encouraged for 2026, thinking, okay, we're only a couple players away? I would like them to be just, I don't want them to trade the bank and trade the team, but I'm good with either result. So if they were to finish 80-82, 81-81, or 85-76, or whatever the record would be, 77, I would take that. Even if we don't make the playoffs, we're only a couple players away. Either way, you're only a few players away. I think you're this offseason, you're 2 players away on a trade or a free agent thing. You need 2 starting pitchers. You're going to need a couple position players, and you're going to need some depth and a possible bullpen piece. So 4 to 5 players, and we're talking about a serious playoff team next year. And I would be encouraged by that. Eric Ward would take the same thing. Andrew would take the same thing, 80-82. And Andrew also says, we better sell at the deadline regardless. We ain't doing shit, let's be honest. And Mateo says, on the MLB The Show, I brought the Angels to 114-48. I think that's the only time they've been in the playoffs recently is on the show. Just get 6 off the books and things will change. Boy, you ain't lying. You get number 6 off the books, and that's $38 million more you could put into this team. Seriously. Corey says, I really don't think Perry stays if we miss the playoffs or make a wild card spot. Yep, 6 better not be in the mix. But yeah, I mean that is definitely a thing, man. Dude, we have to really see what happens moving forward. Again, it's hard to say if they fire Perry, because I don't know if you can just justify saying, okay, let's trade, let's get rid of our GM because we should have been a playoff team. I don't think we put a playoff team together in the offseason. All the young guys would have to hit. So, yeah. Andrew says, we still don't know our 5th starting pitcher right now. We're not going to need him for a couple weeks either. James says, how do you feel about the draft pick at number 2? Skeptical. I hope that Brennan pitches good. I heard Seattle wanted him instead of, they were going to draft him if we would have went with Cada. I would have preferred Cada, but I could be wrong. So we got Brennan. We got to roll with him. We didn't deserve the number 2 pick overall in this draft. Actually, we did, Jules, because we lost 99 games. Bring Hendricks back one more season, Drummer says. I don't think we're going to bring him back. But I definitely do think that we'll have another veteran pitcher next year in the rotation. Absolutely. It won't be Anderson. It won't be Hendricks. Jules says, your thoughts on Brenner. Again, I like what I've heard. I like what I've seen in some of the film. I know his mom died of breast cancer, and that hurt him. Obviously, that's a pain. The fact that he still pitched is a tribute to him and his mother. And having lost a mom, I I know to cancer, I know how that feels. It sucks. And for him, I know couldn't have done what he did. So, kudos to him. I think the Angels fans had their hearts set on Cade. So, yeah, I think unfortunately and unfairly to him, he's got to really ball out to justify his pick. Whereas, Cade Anderson would have probably had an easier ride of it. But now everyone's going to be looking at where he should have been drafted instead of who we got. So unfortunately, he's got a different ride to the show than if we would have drafted Anderson. But hey, first I was pissed when we got him, but it is what it is. We got to ride with him, right? Already expects us to make the playoffs this year. He said at the beginning of the season. Well, if he truly believes that, then Perry should be on the chop block, but we'll see, man. Stranger things have happened. Jules says, do you think we should have drafted Ethan Holiday? No, because we did need pitching. It sucks that he was right there because he is a phenomenal talent, and we do need a third baseman, but we do need pitching more. James says, I wanted Liam Doyle, but after hearing his story, I'm rooting for Brenner. And also, James, you got to think about Doyle, too, in this sense, the fact that he did not release his medical, and there was some skepticism that he might have some potential arm trouble. And that's the last thing the Angels need, is to draft a guy that high and then automatically go into the arm trouble. So again, we'll have to keep an eye on Doyle and see if he develops any kind of injuries. I think the Angels didn't pick Brenner with a second pick. I think he would have went with Willits or Doyle. Well, Willits went number 1. And Doyle was high on their list, but so was Cadis. So it's kind of hard to say who they would have went with. I knew they weren't going to go with Hernandez. I think Hernandez went to the right spot in Pittsburgh because he can hone in his craft down there. So I really like that. Jay says, did we draft any other good players? Yes, we did. Monroe at 4 is a good hitter from Louisville. I like him, or Arkansas, I think it is. Louisville or Arkansas, one of those colleges he came from. He's really good. He's another infielder, so I do like him, and he's a potential third baseman. I don't think we'll have our Brennan up this year, but there's a possibility possibility next year that he could be up here. You see them calling up any other prospects after the All-Star break? Yeah, I would say you'd see Jules, you'd see our boy Paris back here. You might see Kai Boom. You could see Victor Madras. I don't think Clausen. I think you'll see Kana Dana again, and Aldegari for sure. I know they're working on their stuff. I know they got high ERAs, but they're going to have to take their lumps up here at some point. Again, also Jared says, I think we'll trade Ward for a reliever and 2 prospects. I think we can win big time. If we do to get that, I like that trade. Ded also says, how did Sosha predict 100-win season in 2014 and get it right? Because he was calling everything, dude. Back then, Ded, he was calling balls and strikes and calling defense. So he did everything old school. Honestly, for him to lock in for the second season and have similar numbers to top prospects after his mom passed away is crazy. It is crazy. Again, I don't know where his head was, but for the fact that he was able to keep it together is definitely a feather in his cap. Matt says, how do you generally see us doing in the second half? I was calling 500 or a little bit better, and so that would put us around 500 at the end of the season. So, it's going to be one of those seasons where, if you pass right there, you're good. Jules says, is Moore coming back? Yes, he'll be back about a week or so, possibly for the homestand against Seattle, I think. And there's a possibility he could rejoin the team on the road trip, but I doubt it. I think they're going to give him a little bit more time to heal that thumb. And then news on Stevenson, there is none. There is none right there. Jared says, what do you think? Or I think, I do like that trade prospect, Jared. I think that we would get some players right there. Halos don't want high school arms, yet we drafted 6 of them. They want pro-ready arms. I wish they would have went with pro-ready. And there is nothing on Stevenson. He's still very much nursing that injury. Ryan Johnson coming up since they skipped his start in high A. So he's probably Jesus going to double A, and then he will be very, very I would say you're going to see Ryan Johnson as a starter possibly by mid-August. Maybe towards the end of August, you'll see Ryan Johnson in this rotation. And again, seeing him as a reliever, he's got amazing stuff. Is it translating as a starter? Yes, here and there. But I mean, I want to see what he could do against major league hitters as a starter. And I want to see if he's redefined himself. And if he's busted a Soriano, I'm very excited to see what he can provide. You think the Angels will trade Joe Adele while his value is no. You got 2 more years of control and an opportunity to lock up one of your draft picks. So I think I'm right there with Noah. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if anything, if Adele finishes a year, let's see, he's at 19 homers and 54 RBIs. If he finishes with about 33 homers and let's just say 90 RBIs, and he gets his average up to 260, I think if he has a really good spring and a hot April into May, you pull his you try to talk. It's hard to do it during season, but you try to talk extension with his agent. And if not, you float it out there. If Perry's still there and you say, hey, if he finishes a year strong, I definitely want it because he'll have another year of control. I want to give your boy a bonus. I want to give him a contract extension because I think he'll be 24 or 25 next year and just be like, hey, I want to give him a nice 5-year deal and lock him in. Because if he's showing signs of improvement and he's peaking again next year, I would throw an extension to him. I'd give him an Atlanta Brave type contract extension, give him a 5-year, 120, 140 type deal and see where it goes. Also, I haven't been to an August game in a few years. Does it get hot as balls? It does if it's Sunday. Night games are pretty good no matter what. Jared says Denzer Guzman has been real good lately. That's a guy to keep an eye on. Johnson could be. Eric says, I meant to say we want pro-ready arms when it comes to first-round picks. Damn right. My bad. Andrew says, did we let Mickey go too early? Soler signing looking worse and worse by the day. I don't think so. I think Soler is a guy who possibly could be, one of these guys that gets hot in the second half and could really help us out because when he's on, he's on. But obviously he's been off most of the year. Mickey Moniak's only doing that in Colorado, I believe, because he's got no pressure and he's playing in Colorado, dude. It's pretty hard to mess that up. To be honest with you, I think he was what he was here, and that's it. And that's like a 216 hitter. That's a guy that doesn't really start getting hot till early August, and that's not what we need here. We also need to re-sign Neto. But again, you got like 3 or 4 years of control, but you do want to have those talks at some point. Targets for the deadline. It's hard to say right now. It really is. Again, like I'm playing it day by day. You have to get, you have to see what this team needs in the next 9 days. You think Cole Fontaine can be our future third baseman? Jules, I don't know, possibly, because this team wouldn't surprise me if they would keep a guy down there and also say, you know what, we're going to trade him and then go and get a free agent third baseman. I mean, stuff like that. I mean, it's very hard to say, but again, you got to see what he could do when he's up here. And if the team is thinking that they're playoff ready, there's no way they're going to give the keys to a car to a guy who's unproven, at least at that situation. Because remember, there was a backup plan for Neto. There was a backup plan, obviously, for Ward. We had a backup plan for Ohapi. So they were sure of these guys, but just in case something went wrong and they didn't pan out, they can move them. And there was obviously one there for Adele too, and has been the last 2 years because they were, making Moniak push Adele. And so you probably touched on this, but the trade deadlines move would be intelligent. Which ones do we move or make? Obviously, getting a starting pitcher would be tough. You'd have to get a starting pitcher that has in my opinion, a contract an expiring one to add on. You can't. We don't have the capital to be trading for guys willy nilly from like the Pirates or from teams that have all the kind of players that we could use. And opinions on Brenner, the jury's out, but I heard he's really good and he pitched through a lot of adversity. So we'll have to see. But I do like him as a prospect now more that I've done studying on him. Initial reaction, I was mad because we were all looking at Cade Anderson as the next big thing. And the fact the fact that he went to Seattle and the fact that we passed on him, those two things got us upset. But once you sit back and you say, okay, there's nothing you can do to replay it, and we got to focus in on how good he is, and he is pretty good. So when do you think the trades start coming in? I think they're going to come in right after that or right during that homestand. Because again, we finish that homestand or we get that homestand started against the the Seattle Mariners, but it's where is it? Let me click on this real quick. So a 31st deadline. I think it's going to be during that homestand. At some point, we're going to probably see some trades come in around the 28th with Texas, because I think the deadline, if I'm not mistaken, is the 30th. So in that Texas series after the Seattle one, that's why I'm saying those 9 games are so crucial to what this team does moving forward. That Texas series, you'll probably see other teams starting to make trades around then or even earlier. But it's actually a 4-game series with Seattle, so that's even bigger. So these next 10 games mean everything. That's where they put themselves, unfortunately. So yeah, that's when you're probably going to see some trades being moved by other teams, and then we'll see. Trout does not go anywhere, Caleb. No chance of that. I'll bet both my butt cheeks on that. Also true, he's polished and healthy. He sure is. Jules says Bregman, Suarez, and Camarillo are projected to be free agents. Who you think would slot in at third base? You'd have to overpay for Suarez considering the year he's having with Arizona. Camilleri is going to get a fat contract. Bregman would be the Angels type guy to get, but I wouldn't want him here. And again, it's next 10 games will tell us everything we need to know. And if the Angels are smart, they will trade players away to try to build the farm like Homeboy says right here, because that's what I would do. Are you guys doing a deadline show? Yes, we are. We'll be live for that one. Man, I've got the coughs tonight. Bad trade if we did. Yeah, Perry loves him some Braves players. The rumors are we might get Riley. See, I would like that. If we were to get Riley from freaking the Braves, Eric, I would love that. That dude's really good, but who do we give for him? And then if we can get him in free agency or in the offseason, yeah, I would definitely do that. And we do need a quality starting pitcher. So who's the most disappointing? Who is the most disappointing to you the most in June and July? If you're talking team, as I'll get into the standings real quick here. Disappointing as a team, I would say there's quite a few for me. Obviously last year, I call them Ohio, which is Cleveland. They're disappointing. Kansas City, I really thought they'd be better, but they're in the mix still. I would have to say Atlanta. Diamondbacks have had their problems, but I'd have to say those teams are the most disappointing to me. They should have been better, should have been playing better, but they're just not. And obviously, but if I had to pick number one, Baltimore. I mean, how do you have that much fucking talent and you're in last place, dude? You're 11.5 out. Plus minus, they're minus 90 differential and runs scored. Man, I did not have that on my bingo card for them to be in last place right now. That whole division's upside down. Blue Jays got hot right before the All-Star break, and they're in first place. That's kind of weird. And with Tampa with a no-name team, they're only five out right now. So Padres were the most disappointing. Smoothness says trade Ward, Anderson, Renifo, Soler, and Jansen. That would be 100% if we could find the right team to take on those players, because we could get some people. Eric Ward does agree right there at Baltimore. Jared says if we traded for him, we'd have to give up the whole farm to Atlanta. Andrew says also if Adele was in a swing off at the end of the game, how many does he hit instead of a Rosarina? He probably hits 3 or 4. Nah, maybe like 2. Yeah, I know you're talking about Riley. We would have to give up a couple. We would have to give up a couple players to get him. You want to feel bad for someone. Skeens gets no run support. I think that's going to change. They had a really nice draft. And I think if Smooth Girl, if Smoothness Girl Guru, if they're able to get some off-season guys, their rotation's pretty nice, and who they drafted to, they've got some pretty nice players on the come up in Pittsburgh. They have a brighter future, that's for sure, if the Angels don't change it. Noah says, I meant on the Angels MLB team, but we did have a lot of trouble against the Orioles. 6 Ward walk-up song, too good to let him go. I need to hear it the rest of the season, Noah says. Disappointing to me on the Angels has been Louis Renifo. Taylor Ward, too, because his batting average is bad. I really, if his batting average was around 240, 250, I'd be a little bit more bullish on him. His defense stinks. Renifo's been awful at times this year. Solaire's been bad. We've had quite a few players that have been disappointing. Obviously, Kiwanowitz didn't come through. So, yeah, I'm going to get some rest, Andrew. I just wanted to get on to create some content tonight, and I appreciate everybody being on. Yes, I've been on for about 2 hours already almost. So thank you, everybody over there on TikTok. Thank you, everybody over here on YouTube and X for participating. We got a ton of comments and everything else like that. We will be back on Friday for the post-game show for the Angels and the Philadelphia Phillies. Seems weird to say, but the Phillies are 55-41, 14 games above 500. They've been playing solid baseball all year, so that's going to be a fun series. Hopefully, the balls will be flying out there in Philly. So let's get it done. Hopefully we can play good and win one game at a time. Because I was saying all night it was a 9-game stretch. It's a 10-game stretch that we have that's going to define the team. So let's see what happens. Appreciate you, Tyler and Eric and everybody else on there. Again, and everybody on TikTok. We will see you all on Friday right after the game, hopefully after the Angels win. Gavin has a PSA for you real quick, and then I'll hit us out with some Angels win, hopefully some Stukas, and we'll see you Friday.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson, former credentialed journalist in the LA area. How about a yummy tasting nut? You guys are crazy. Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls, and welcome back. What's going on, everybody? My name is Gavin Carlson. Don't get it twisted. You've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. It's hard. It's hard. Oh, man, it feels great. Oh, yummy. Oh, how about a yummy? Oh, magic. Oh, my goodness. Come on. Tasting nut. Guys.